Racist mother-in-law broke my son's heart by her favoritism. She went to our house crying because I have forbidden her from seeing my children again. My children are mixed race. I'm brown, very dark, black curly hair, and my husband is blonde. Our children are dark like me with curly hair although lighter. My husband's older brother and his wife are both blondes and their two adorable sons are also very blonde. When I met my husband 8 years ago, my mother-in-law was very kind to me. She once told me how thrilled she was to see her son so happy with me and that her son's happiness is the most important thing in her world. I have never noticed her treating me any differently from my white sister-in-law. When I got pregnant, however, she expressed some concerns about the color of my children. I found it really uncomfortable because while everyone was obsessing about how our mixed children would look, literally everyone from both sides was obsessed, none of them was concerned. It was merely curiosity rather than concern. I let that pass, however, and she was brilliant with the children. But I have noticed that while she's great, my children didn't receive the same affection my nephews got. She doted on my nephews and always commented how much they looked like her sons. All was good until I started noticing differences in how she treated my kids versus their cousins, and what made it worse is that my oldest also has started noticing. One example was when one of my children had a birthday party. She would get gifts for all 4 children, so nobody felt left out. But if it was one of the cousins, she would only get the cousins. The last straw was last Christmas. My son and daughter's gift pile was significantly smaller than their cousins. My son was so jealous and distressed. He has a tell when he's sad, and it's that he curls his hair around his finger obsessively. He didn't say anything and spent the evening hugging my leg. I was so heartbroken, and it was very obvious to me why he was acting like that. He's very shy and rarely complains because he thinks it embarrassing to make a scene. I have been thinking about that a lot ever since. I don't think I want my children to be exposed to such treatment. They're old enough to understand there's favoritism going on, and it breaks my heart. We're supposed to celebrate one of the cousins' birthdays in a couple of weeks, but my stomach turns and hurts ls by the thought of having to go there and see her. I have spoken to my husband and he's so stressed out. He doesn't want me to refuse his mother seeing my children. I can't do this to him or his mother. I asked him if he didn't notice what happened on Christmas about the gifts, but also that she interacted so little with our son and none with our daughter. She didn't even hold her the whole stay. His explanation was because of us living far from her as opposed to brother-in-law who lives one street down. His children are always with her and she knows them better. My next solution is that she could spend solo time with my children, so there's no comparison. My husband thinks it is excessive. He suggested that he could take the children by himself to the party so I don't have to be bothered by mother-in-law's actions, but I don't know. It feels worse that I won't even be able to see what's happening. I don't know. My heart is telling me this is wrong and that I need to protect my children from hurt, but maybe I'm not thinking clearly because I'm being overprotective and biased. Have forbidden mother-in-law from ever seeing my children again. My daughter turned 4 a week ago and we had her party last Saturday. I had planned for mother-in-law to celebrate my daughter the day before on Friday, but she didn't show up. She made an excuse about her not being able to drive, so she needed to ride with my brother-in-law and his family. My heart sank, but I didn't want to create tension, so I let it pass. When it was time to open the presents, my mother-in-law took out 2 presents and gave one to each nephew. She then called my daughter and showed her a picture on her phone of a wooden car and told her that her present didn't arrive in time and she would send it forward as fast as she got it. The cousins opened their presents and they got toys. My son got nothing. He was so heartbroken that he just wouldn't leave my embrace the rest of the evening. My heart was swollen in my throat after what she did. It has always been a thing of hers to do. When it's one of my children's birthdays, she would get presents to all 4 children, but if it's one of the cousins, she would only get presents for the cousins. Thank God my daughter didn't understand much and she just ignored mother-in-law and continued opening the rest of her presents. But I have had it with my mother-in-law. I told my husband that she is under no condition allowed to see my children again. I'm done and I don't want her in our life until the children are old enough to decide for themselves. My husband thought I wasn't serious at first, and then he thought I was unreasonable. He probably doesn't realize yet how serious I'm about this. Whatever her reasons are for treating my babies this way, I don't care. I texted her my decision the morning after and she's been calling and texting my husband nonstop since. She's asking me to fix her mistake, but this ship has sailed a long time ago. I'm done. Mother-in-law showed up today unannounced around 10 in the morning. She had around a dozen gifts with her for my children and she was crying about how she felt hurt that she was misunderstood. You see, it all was an unfortunate misjudgment from her side. She thought my boy was old enough to understand he wasn't the birthday boy and should therefore not be encouraged to accept gifts. The cousins, however, are a different matter because they're both younger and are used to seeing their granny all the time since they live down the street from her. She didn't want to cause any distress to them by giving my daughter a present and not them, because they would be confused why granny is ignoring them. I just listened to her and my husband did all the talking, saying he understood but that she should give us, me, time to think. She left without seeing the children and honestly I don't even remember her asking about them. I didn't buy her crocodile tears either. When she left, I told my husband I'm not going to give any gifts to my children from mother-in-law and that he should have given them to her to take back with her. I told him that she wasn't sorry at all for the pain she's caused my son and that she didn't even ask about him. He thought about that all morning and later he told me that he trusted my intuition and that he's going to respect my decision. I don't know for how long he's going to respect my intuition, but for now I'm satisfied. I can't ask him to go and see with his mom, but my children are protected from her evil.